Wait, hold up. What's wrong with this? Okay. Hi, my name is Poorva and I'm a biomedical engineering major at UW Madison. Today I'll tell you all you need to know about UW Madison before you come here as a freshman. First, I'm going to talk about dorms. There are two main areas that you can live in for dorms, Southeast and Lakeshore. The Southeast dorms consist of Ogg, Smith, Whitty, and Celery. I lived in Celery during my freshman year, and I was kind of jealous of shitty Whitty because they weren't so shitty anymore after everything got renovated, but that's besides the point. Anyways, so I lived in Celery during my first year and I had a great experience there. Everyone was super social and it was always a blast on the weekends, on Thursdays, on Tuesdays. People were always in the halls, everyone on the floors talked to each other, and I never really had any bad experiences there. I would say that the people there are a little on the fake side sometimes, even though that doesn't apply to everyone, of course. I actually met one of my best friends, and he lived on the floor below me. So if you do want to live in Southeast, that doesn't mean necessarily that you have to party. It doesn't mean that you have to drink. It doesn't mean you have to go out. You could still have a social setting and make tons of friends there, even if you don't want to engage in any of those activities. But if you do, there's definitely a ton of people who are willing to go out with you, party with you, and just be social. Right now, I know that Celery is undergoing construction, and so if you want to live there, I would consider putting Whitty as your first choice because that's the building that was already renovated last year. The problem with living in Celery while it's being renovated is that you could have a chance to live in a room that's already been renovated, or you might get stuck with one of the old shitty rooms and have to move midway through the year as they go down the floors renovating. That also means that you'd probably wake up to sounds of construction at 7 a.m. and if you're a late sleeper like I was, that wouldn't really be a good idea. Ogg is the building that's behind Whitty and Celery. This building has a little fitness gym attached to it, the Ogg Fitness Center, and it's actually really nice and convenient for everyone that lives in Ogg and the surrounding buildings. However, there is a new gym that was built right next to it. I'm sure it's going to open this year, and it is massive. So if you do want to live in the Southeast area, consider that you're living right next to Gordon's, right next to that huge new gym. And all the other social dorms as well. I've heard that Ogg is really nice and spacious, so if you really want a big room with like walk-in closets and such, Ogg is the place for you. I had friends that lived in Ogg and they really enjoyed their time there because they could be social, even though it was a little bit quieter than Whitty and Celery tend to be. It was really nice for them. The other thing is that if you do decide to live in these areas and engage in illegal activities, that means that you're going to have to be wary of all the cops that are around at night. Now, I don't necessarily condone all of these activities, but if you choose to do them, you should understand that you need to be really careful about it. There were a lot of times where the cops would walk inside, walk around the halls, and if you weren't careful, they could write you a ticket, they could cite you for something, or you could even get arrested or sent to the hospital. So just please be really careful about that. The next dorm that I'm going to talk about is Smith. Smith is a little bit further from Southeast than the rest of the dorms, and it's a little bit of a trek to get to Gordon's because there isn't a dining hall inside, I believe. But I've also heard that it's a really nice dorm and there's a lot of people inside. So if you want to live there and you want a little bit more of a quiet atmosphere, Smith might be the dorm for you. As for Whitty and Celery, like I said, they're almost identical except Whitty is completely renovated and Celery is in the process. In my opinion, if you were to rank the dorms in Southeast, I would put Whitty first, Og second, Celery third, and Smith fourth. Oh shit, I forgot Chadbourne. Chadbourne is the location that's kind of in between Southeast and Lakeshore, but it's mostly in Southeast. I've heard that Chadbourne, part of it got renovated recently, and it's attached to Liz's dining market, which is, I've heard, really nice. So it might be Liz's or it might be Retta's, but either one, I've heard that it's really nice, and a lot of people go over there, and it's like $5 for all you can eat, which is different from the a la carte you might get at Gordon's. But I think that Chadbourne's a really great choice for people who don't really know exactly what location they want to live in, or they're okay with being more in like towards the center of campus. I know that more upperclassmen live in Chadbourne, so I just keep that in mind when you sign up for dorms. So the next place that you can live is Lakeshore. I think basically the rest of the dorms are in Lakeshore, and it's called Lakeshore just because it's really close to Lake Mendota and all of the areas that are close to that. The major ones that come to mind are Liz Waters. So Liz Waters is the newest one, it's the nicest one, and it has a dining hall attached. A major thing about all of the Lakeshore dorms that I've heard is that it's really quiet, and it doesn't mean that people aren't social, but if you like a more quiet atmosphere, somewhere where you can study even during the weekends, I think that Lakeshore would be a better fit for you. Going back to Liz Waters, it's the nicest dorm in Lakeshore, and I believe that it is a little bit less expensive than the other one that I'm going to talk about, which is De Joop. Now, De Joop is really big. It is big, it is new, and it is very well equipped. It has a walk-in clinic, it has a really big event room where there's a lot of stuff going on throughout the year. It's close to the natatorium, which is the other major gym on campus. And it would be a really nice place for you if you like being near the lake, if you like having a place that's close by to work out, and if you're okay with it being a little more quiet than usual. As well as being further from almost everything, including classes, State Street, and a lot of the rest of campus. Another dorm that I can think of that's pretty big is Cronsage. Now, Cronsage isn't just one dorm, it's a subset of a bunch of different dorms. I think there's like 6 to 7. There's 2 in specific that are a little bit nicer than the rest, and those are the ones that have the washing machine and the kitchen, and they're the only 2 buildings that have that. I personally know people that lived in Cronsage that didn't really like their experience there. They ranked it as one of their last few choices, but they ended up there just because of the luck of the draw. The other ones that are there are Sullivan, Humphrey. I believe there's a bunch of really small ones that are really similar to Cronsage, and all of them are really similar to each other in that they're kind of like a cabin style by the lake. They're really quiet. They're not necessarily terrible because they've been renovated somewhat recently, but I know that my friends that lived there didn't necessarily have the greatest experience, especially during the summer because they didn't have any air conditioning. There were a lot of bugs that came in. But for some people, the small, quiet atmosphere with a smaller group of people to socialize with made up for the fact that there were a lot of things wrong with the dorms themselves. So in my opinion, if you do want to live in Lakeshore, the pros of Lakeshore are that it's a lot quieter, so you can get studying done on even the weekends or game days. You can go to your classes a lot quicker. Liz Waters is on the side of Bascom Hill, where a lot of the classes are, or will be your freshman year for sure. It's also a great place to go outdoors if you like to hammock, if you like to, roller skate, skateboard. If you like to do any outdoor activities, it's really close to the woods and lake area, so you'd have a great time there. I believe that in terms of ranking wise, I would rank Liz Waters first, DeJope second, Kronsage third, and the rest of them like Sullivan, Leopold, Phillips, Humphrey, those are really similar, but I'd just rank them lower just because they're less recently renovated and also less known. But do your research, and if you find something about those dorms that you really like, make sure to put them near the top of your list. So how ranking your dorms works at UW Madison is it's a lottery system. So instead of a lot of other colleges, I know that you can sign up early, and that means it's like a first come first serve sort of system. But this one means that you have the chance of getting maybe one of your first 3 picks, or you might end up getting like your last pick. It really does depend, but I know that wherever people have ended up, they've made it work. So if you do end up in a place that you necessarily didn't choose to be in, you should try to make the best of it, because there's great people everywhere, and I'm sure there's a few people that might be in your same situation that would love to hang out. The next thing that I'm going to talk about is food. So there's 6 different areas that you can eat for university housing. These come off of your meal plan, so as long as you bring your WIS card and you swipe it at the end, it'll be taken out of your dining hall plan. And a lot of these places also have like little convenience stores that also take off of your dining credits or dining money, and it's almost like a little mini gas station where there's like candy bars, there's like chips, drinks, all that kind of stuff that you can get to bring back to your dorm. Other food places include places on State Street, around campus. I know the major ones are Ian's Pizza, Bassett Street Brunch Club, there's like Paul's Pelmeni, there's I think there's like a sandwich place called Chiba Hut, there's a lot of other places to eat. So if you really want a lot of variety on where you eat, State Street is the place for you to go. Keep in mind though that you have to use your own money to buy from restaurants on State Street, and if you have a dining hall plan already, the food is actually pretty good at dining halls, so I would rather spend that than eat out every single day at State Street. Another few places that you can eat are the unions. So there's Union South and Memorial Union. Union South has a few different restaurants and a coffee shop, and it's honestly the best place to study in my opinion, because there's like a lot of easy food places to access nearby and a lot of tables, and like it's kind of a nice atmosphere if you like background noise to study in. Memorial Union is also a nice place to study in, but it's a lot louder just because I feel like the restaurants are closer together. There's like a make your own pizza place, there's like a super old themed restaurant called the Rathskeller, and you can get like honestly I really like the Rathskeller. It's like really good, so if you have the chance to go there when you visit or during orientation, try it out. It's amazing. The make your own pizza place, it has an ice cream place, it has kind of like a sandwich place, it has a coffee shop, convenience mart. I think that Memorial Union is a good all-around place to study and eat, and I really loved being there, especially when the terrace is open. And the terrace is a perfect place to go outside and hang out with friends, do homework when it's warm out, because it overlooks Lake Mendota and it's just gorgeous. Okay, so the next thing that I'll talk about is tailgates and games. Tailgates are a massive thing at UW-Madison. Our school, Go Badgers, is super spirited, and you've probably heard about the famous jump around that happens at Camp Randall during football games, and it is truly magical. Like, I've never experienced anything like it. As for tailgates, there's usually a ton going on around Camp Randall, especially like the houses. And if you know some people that live in those houses, or you have like an older sibling, it might be a great ticket to a place that you can hang out before the game, really close to the stadium. In order to get your tickets, you should buy a season pass. In my opinion, that's the best value if you're going to go to every single game. And if you're not, there's a Facebook marketplace where you can sell your tickets to people who want to go. Typically, it depends on what game you're going to. Like the more popular ones, against the University of Michigan this year, tickets went from maybe $60, $70 to like $100 when it got really close to the game. And so you should probably be able to gauge how much you can sell your ticket for based on how much other people are selling their ticket for. And if you didn't get a season pass, there usually is a way to buy a student ticket for about $27 the Thursday before the game occurs, but you have to get there really early for the popular games, so keep that in mind. In the dorms, tailgating is a little bit of a different experience. There's usually loud music going on as early as like 7 o'clock, especially for morning games, and everyone's in their game day bibs, game day uniforms. Sometimes there's themes, like we had a stripe out game where the student section wore all white and everyone else alternated colors. That looked really cool. And I would recommend that you eat before you go to the game, because the only thing worth buying there is the pretzel. There's like this one place where you can get pretzels inside Camp Randall that's so good and so worth it, but it's like $8. So make sure you eat before you go there too. Games usually last about 2 hours, including halftime, and jump around occurs during quarter 3 or the end of quarter 3. You'll know when it's coming because they have like the student section race beforehand, and then you'll do jump around, and then a lot of people typically end up leaving. Games are a really good experience, and even if you don't like football games, you should go to at least one just to experience it and see what being a Badger is all about. Now I'm going to talk about a topic that's a little tougher for people to hear. UW-Madison is a school in the Midwest, and since it's in the Midwest, a majority of the student population is white. I obviously am not white, and it did change my experience a little bit, just because in the dorms especially, it felt like I never really saw someone that was brown like me. Like I saw maybe one other girl, and that was it the entire year. Like the other people that I met were through her, and they lived in Lakeshore, but they all lived in different houses as well. And in my opinion, it's really difficult to meet people that are the same race as you or like the same ethnic group as you if you want to, unless you join a dance team maybe, or you join one of the student associations, which I think is a great way to stay connected to your community. I know that this isn't as big of a deal as for some people as it is to others, but it's kind of hard going around and not seeing representation from your own group, especially in a school as big as UW-Madison. But that being said, there's a lot of ways to get involved if you want to stay connected to your community. And by no means do I believe that my race puts me in a different category than other people at this school. Now we're going to move on to the most fun topic, which is school. During your first year, you'll probably experience a lot of the weed out classes, and you'll figure out that college is a lot harder than you thought it would be. Or maybe it'll be a little bit easier than you think, but for the majority of people, including me, college was a lot harder than I thought it was going to be. Like I said, I'm in biomedical engineering, and I know that the engineering school and the business school have a direct admit, and if you got in, congratulations. And if you didn't, there's also a way that you can apply to it during the next year if you didn't get a direct admit, so don't worry if you're in that category. I was a direct admit to the engineering school, and just because I got into the engineering school doesn't mean I'm in yet. There are certain progression requirements that you have to meet, which means keeping your core GPA, which is just the science and math classes, above a certain number for the exact major that you want. For example, biomedical engineering has a core GPA requirement of 3.5 and an overall GPA requirement of 3. I know that a few majors that have bigger programs have a lower threshold just because they have more seats that they can fill. This being maybe material science and engineering has a 3.0 core GPA and a 2.7 overall GPA. It just depends on which major you want to go into, and if you have one that has a higher GPA requirement, you might want to think about using your time more wisely. I know you're gonna get sick and tired of a lot of college kids and adults telling you that you need to work on your time management skills, but trust me, it's a really important skill to have. And even if you just have a planner or like a list that you look at every day of all the assignments and tests that are due, that'll be a major help to you in the future, and you'll thank yourself when you realize that there were 2 assignments due tonight that you were gonna go out and forget to do. The last thing I'm going to talk about is clubs. I am on the women's ultimate team and I love every second of it. I have met some of the best people there and some of the people that I think I'll be friends with for years to come. I think, in my personal opinion, that clubs are the best way to meet people that share your similar interests and you're going to be friends with for a long time. That doesn't mean that the people in your dorm or the people that you meet during your first year won't be around for the rest of your college experience. I just found that it's a lot more common for those people to be first week, first month, or even first year friends that you may not even talk to in following years. But with clubs, you'll meet every week, maybe once, maybe twice or more, and this will keep on going until you graduate. And I feel like that's the best way to actually make lasting friendships. There's a ton of clubs on campus. There is actually something called the Activity Fair, or I think it's like Activities Rush or something like that, that happens in the Cole Center. And this happens twice a year for the fall semester and the spring semester. And it's just a lineup of almost every single club on campus that you can join. And I would highly recommend going. You can sign up to whatever emailing list you want just to find out what you're actually interested in and then actually go to the meetings that you want to stay in. A lot of these clubs have very low membership fees, maybe like $5 to $15 for the supplies and maybe a t-shirt. Some clubs, like sports clubs, have a little bit of a higher cost, but they're totally worth it if you want to stay active and social at the same time. So definitely go to that fair. Make sure you know when it is. Bring a friend. You can get a ton of free swag there too, and it'll be just a great experience even if you don't feel like you have time for more than maybe 1 or 2 clubs. But that's one of my biggest tips. Join at least 1 club, no matter how busy you think you are, and this gives you time to socialize, unwind, and relax with people who share a common interest, and you'll have a lot of connections going forward. That was it for this video. I know it was a little rough. It's my first video, so leave a comment below if you think there's something that I could improve on. If you have any more questions that I can answer in another video. Leave a like if you really liked this video, and a dislike if you think I could improve. Please leave likes though, I'd really appreciate it. And subscribe if you want to see any more content from me. I'm just starting out, but I think I'll try to upload at least once a week, and it'll be on various topics, whether they be UW-Madison or whatever else. Well, thanks for watching guys, and have a good day. Or quarantine, or whatever.